Hi everybody, this is Ricki Schultz, YA writer Ricki Schultz, a very washed out Ricki Schultz. I'm a young adult contemporary writer. I'm rep by Barbara Powell of the Irene Goodman Literary Agency, and in addition to writing young adults, I'm also a freelance writer and editor and a contributor to Writer's Digest books. And by day, I also am a high school and junior high English teacher. So today I'm on the Right Away vlog, very excited to do a vlog. Speaking about showing and not it's telling. Something that we hear all the time, right? Show, don't tell. If you've ever hired an editor or if you have a critique partner, a lot of times they might highlight certain things, certain sentences and say something, show, don't tell. Go to conferences. I was just at RT this past week. You can go to lots of sessions and they'll talk to you about showing and not telling. So what does that really mean? Well, what it means to me and what I tell my students is it's more, let's have the reader experience the story instead of just be told something. So we don't want to just be merely reporting facts. We want to drop the reader into the story and have them experience what's happening. It's like if you've ever talked to somebody and they start telling you this story, they say, oh, you have to hear the story. This is the best thing. Listen to what happened to me last night. And start talking to you, and they're just kind of giving you a play-by-play of what happened, and they're laughing hysterically because obviously they're remembering something. In their minds, they're remembering the experience of being there, but all you're getting is, Billy said this and Susie said that, and it's not funny to you, right? And then after you don't laugh, then they look at you and they say, oh, you know what? You had to be there. Well, try to think of showing and not telling as putting your reader there, okay? So how do you do that? Well, something that I tell my students and my clients when I edit is use active verbs. Now, this doesn't mean passive verbs. You shouldn't use them ever. Of course, there are times where you need them, linking verbs. I am Ricki. It's hard to say that without using that verb even there. When you're putting description in, try to make your descriptions very active. So that way we can experience something, not just the bare bones of what happened, but we can also maybe get a sense of touch or taste or smell. We feel like we're there. We're feeling, again, like we're experiencing it. Think of it in a sensory way. For example, like I just got home a little bit ago, all right? I could say to you, I am hungry. Okay, that's nice. I am hungry, all right? When am I not? But anyway, so I am hungry, that's a passive sentence. The am is a passive verb, okay? It tells us something, it's 3 words, but it tells us very little. And why is this? Well, when you use adjectives, and I tend to be one of those that I try to use as few adjectives as possible, and I try to go for something that's more of an active verb that will do the work of an adjective, or some people like adverbs. And I'm not going to say, adjectives are the devil, adverbs are the devil. I'm not going to say that. No. I mean, I don't like them. I don't love to use them. And if I do use them, there's a good reason why I did. I agonize over it. I'm just that way. But so, if you want to say, I am very hungry. So that does tell us a little bit more of, the degree to which we're hungry. It's a little bit more than just saying I'm hungry. However, when you use descriptors that are just straight up adjectives or adverbs and adjectives, that little combo there, everybody's experience is different. So in order to get across exactly what you want to get across, to be as clear as possible, and that's what I try to have my writers do, and what I try to do in my own writing, I would suggest using a more active verb. So for instance, and it's not necessarily, like sometimes, and I'll address this in a second, sometimes with showing and not telling, it ends up that you're adding a lot more words because you can do that within action and dialogue, so you might have to add a little bit of a scene. But if we're talking just this sentence, you could simply say, my stomach rumbled. Okay, so now we can hear it. It rumbled. So that doesn't necessarily, that's not super hungry, right? Not necessarily. It gives us a little bit more of a picture. And also, it's not just telling us that. It gives us something. I like to think of reading a book as sort of piecing a puzzle together. And when I'm writing something, kind of giving the reader clues, and then they can pick up on to the degree of which this character is hungry. You could also say something, if you want to say the character is very hungry, but you don't want to say it in a telling way, you could say something like, my stomach roared. Okay, so now we've switched out the verb there, and it's still active, but wow, is this person hungry? Okay, so that kind of thing, to me, that's a lot more active, and that shows us a little bit more than just using the straight up adjective. How else might we do this? Well, if you have something like, just say, for instance, he was angry. Okay, that's fine. But again, particularly with a word like this, with angry, there are varying degrees of anger, and it means different things to us. So just say we had a sentence, when he received the news, he picked up the rock, chucked it at the wall, and it exploded. All right? That gives us a certain picture in our minds. As opposed to when he received the news, he kicked the stone down the path. Okay. So you see how we're getting we're getting different connotations. And that's really the whole point of showing and not telling, is giving different connotations. And it should be the way that you're picturing it. So we have a little bit of a scene. It's still just a sentence. Whoever he is has received this news, and now he's reacting to it in some way. But we can deduce that in both scenarios, he's not happy about what the news is. But in the first one, where he's taking the rock and he's chucking it against the wall and it explodes, he sure is angry, right? He might need to simmer down a little bit. He might need to take an anger management class or something like that. In the other one, where he receives the news and then he's kicking a stone along the path. Okay, I mean, I don't know what my fascination with rocks is in this scenario, but whatever. But for this one, we kind of get, he's not necessarily angry, but more like maybe disappointed. But see, we learn things about whoever he is, whoever this character is. In the first scenario, we might be a little afraid of him. We don't want to piss this guy off. In the second scenario, he's somebody that he's going to hold things in a little bit. So you get more than just he was angry or he was disappointed. Because in either scenario, there could be a degree of disappointment and anger, but it's a clearer picture in our minds, and it's closer to, whatever you intend. So I encourage you, when you're doing your own writing, to look for opportunities like this. Generally, it happens for me, I find a lot of it when I'm looking for is, are, was, or were, which are passive verbs. If you're worried about, just say your manuscript is 200,000 words, which I'm worried about it if it's 200,000 words. But if it's 200,000 words and you're saying, well, I've got this editor or my CP telling me that I need to cut words, and now you're telling me to show and not tell, so that's going to add words, right? That maybe my next vlog will be about that. We'll talk about ways that you can trim. I would say always be in favor of writing more actively, of showing and not telling. And if that ups your wordage, we'll find a way to cut. Okay? So until next time, Ricki Schultz. I don't know why I'm saluting, and I will see you soon.